Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lexi. I'm here interviewing Coach Lawyer. So, what does it mean to be Elgin?
In my first year here with Coach Kephart brought me over to be his assistant. It means a lot because the entire community, the faculty and staff here, and all the student body, they do not like Elgin. We're rivals, and the first thing they said when Kephart took the job and brought me over was that we have to beat Elgin. Well, in our first year, our first opportunity, we did that. But what's great about that is that even though we're rivals, we all came together for a great cause, and we were able to raise, I think, upwards of $4,000 or $5,000 for Mr. Holland, maybe even more, to help him with his medical expenses, because that's what this game was really all about.
So what do you think the county tournament's going to be like next week?
Well, this is another opportunity to just play some basketball. There's some good small schools in it, in the boys division. We've got to turn around and play Elgin again in the first round, so it's going to be we're going to need a good week of practice to be successful against them to move forward in this. And it's also good to play in a championship setting. There's 3 games to be played, and we have an opportunity to win a championship. So we're excited about that.
All right, thank you.
All right, what happened was we called a timeout, and Coach Kephart drew up a play that we've been working on in practice. And he said, Terrence, look, if you can get to the basket off this. If not, find an open teammate and let's make something happen. So this was the end result. He threw it into Terrence. Terrence got the ball back, goes up with the fake. And at that moment, time ran out, but they had called a timeout.
The assassination of Martin Luther King took place in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4th, 1968 at 6:05 p.m. Escaped fugitive James Earl Ray found guilty of shooting Martin Luther King and was sentenced to 99 years in prison. During King's funeral, a tape recording was played in which King spoke of how he wanted to be remembered after his death. I'd like somebody to mention that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to give his life serving others.
Martin Luther King Jr. worked for a number of civil rights and religious groups to organize the March of Washington for Jobs and Freedom, a peaceful political rally designed to shed light on the injustice African Americans continue to face across the country. Held on August 28th and attended by some 200,000 to 300,000 participants, the event is widely regarded as a watershed moment in the history of the American Civil Rights Movement and a factor in the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The march culminated in King's most famous address, known as the I Have a Dream speech, a spirited call for peace and equality that many consider a masterpiece of rhetoric. Standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, a monument to the president who a century earlier had brought down the institution of slavery in the United States, he shared his vision of a future in which this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. The speech and march cemented King's reputation at home and abroad. Later that year, he was named Man of the Year by Time magazines, and in 1964 became the youngest person ever awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
The Montgomery bus boycott was a protest in which African Americans refused to ride the buses in Montgomery, Alabama. The protest lasted from December 5th, 1955 to December 20th, 1956, and is said to be the first large-scale protest in the United States. 4 days before the protest officially started, Rosa Parks was arrested and fined after she refused to move for a white man on a bus in Montgomery. The day the protest started was also the day of Rosa Parks' hearing and lasted 381 days. The Montgomery bus system was eventually ordered to integrate the buses. During this time period, a young pastor by the name of Martin Luther King Jr. emerged and would soon change things for African Americans around the world.
Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. He was the son of the Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. and Alberta Williams King. King's father was born Michael King, and Martin Luther King Jr. was originally named Michael King Jr. until the family traveled to Europe in 1934 and visited Germany. His father soon changed both of their names to Martin in honor of the German Protestant leader Martin Luther. He had an older sister, Willie Christine King, and a younger brother, Alfred Daniel William King. King sang with his church choir at the 1939 Atlanta premiere of the movie Gone with the Wind. Growing up in Atlanta, King attended Booker T. High School, college. He skipped 9th and 12th grade and entered Morehouse College at the age of 15 without formally graduating from his high school. In 1948, he graduated from Morehouse with a Bachelor's of Art degree in Sociology and enrolled in Crozer Theological Seminary in Chester, Pennsylvania, from which he graduated with a Bachelor of Divinity degree in 1951. King then began doctoral studies in systematic theology at Boston University and received his Doctor's of Philosophy on June 5, 1955. A 1880s inquiry concluded portions of his dissertation had been plagiarized and he had acted improperly, but his dissertation still makes an intelligent contribution to his scholarship. King married Coretta Scott on June 18, 1953 on the land of her parents' house in her hometown of Heidelberg, Alabama. King and Scott had 4 children: Yolanda King, Martin Luther King III, Dexter Scott King, and Bernice King. King became pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama when he was 25 years old in 1954. The end.
What are you doing for your print?
I'm making a fish.
And then you just like glue it onto there?
Yep. Like so.
Okay.
Are you going to put anything else with it?
Well, this is going to be some seaweed.
At Boston University and received his doctor of. Why are we laughing?